They forced her to stand barefoot on the cold tile while the line watched, phones half raised, whispers spreading like a stain. The officer didn't lower his voice. He wanted everyone to hear. He wanted the lesson to land. Martha Cole was 68, grey hair cut practical, hands thin, veins like blue threads. She held her purse the way people hold life preservers, knuckles white, breath shallow. The metal detector still hummed behind her, impatient. The officer pointed to a plastic tray on the floor and told her to empty everything. Everything meant dignity, too. When she hesitated, he sighed, loud, theatrical. "Ma'am, don't make this harder." Across the checkpoint, a younger supervisor leaned on the counter, chewing gum, eyes bored. A businessman in loafers smirked. A mother tugged her kid closer. No one spoke up. Silence is contagious like that. Martha's shoes came off. Her ring followed. A folded note slipped from her purse and fluttered down. The officer stepped on it by accident. He didn't apologize. He never looked at her face, only at the screen, the wand, the clock. Somewhere, a gate agent called boarding for a flight to Phoenix. The announcement echoed, cheerful, obscene. Martha swallowed. Her breath sounded loud in her ears. She felt the old ache in her knee, the one the weather always finds. She felt the heat rise in her neck. She did not cry. Crying gives them permission. Instead, she stared at the glass wall beyond security, where planes rolled like patient animals. Behind her, a man muttered, "Just let them do their job." Martha nodded once, small and calm, as if agreeing, as if this were normal, as if she were what they thought she was. The supervisor finally glanced at her face and frowned, not in concern, but irritation, as if she were a delay in his day. He waved the officer closer and murmured something that made the officer's jaw tighten. The wand came out again, slower this time, deliberate. It hovered too long at her ribs, her hip, the hollow at the base of her throat. Martha kept her eyes forward. The hum vibrated in her bones. She counted her breaths the way she used to when rooms turned hostile. In for 4. Hold, out for 6. Behind the glass, a jet's engine spooled, a low animal growl that pressed against her chest. The sound brought a memory she didn't invite. Boardrooms with windows this big. Men who smiled while deciding other people's futures. She pushed it down. "Not now." "Ma'am," the officer said, softer but sharper. "Why are you traveling today?" "To see my sister," Martha replied. Her voice surprised even her. It was steady. She had a stroke. The officer paused. The supervisor looked up from his screen. A flicker passed between them. Not sympathy, but calculation. "We'll need secondary screening," the supervisor said. He gestured to a door marked, "Authorized personnel only." A woman in a navy blazer stepped forward, badge swinging. Her smile was thin, professional. "It won't take long," she said, the way people lie when time belongs to them. As they walked, a man in line cleared his throat. "This is ridiculous," he said, not loudly, but enough. The supervisor shot him a look that shut him down. The door closed behind Martha with a soft click that sounded final. Inside, the room was small, windowless. A metal table, a camera dome in the corner. Martha set her purse down exactly where they told her. She noticed the way the woman's hand shook when she typed. Fear hides in small places. "Do you have any metal implants?" the woman asked. Martha met her eyes. "No," she said. Then after a beat, "But I do have patience. Don't waste it." The camera's red light blinked once, steady and unblinking, like an eye that never sleeps. The woman in the blazer asked the same questions again, slower, as if repetition might loosen something hidden. "Where are you coming from? Where are you staying? Who packed your bag?" Martha answered without flinching. The truth has a rhythm when you've said it in rooms much colder than this. The officer returned with a clipboard and a sigh. He glanced at the screen on the wall, then at Martha's hands. He noticed the way she sat. Upright, balanced. Not the posture of someone who expects mercy. "We found something," he said, enjoying the pause. He slid the folded note onto the table. It was creased soft from years of carrying. A handwritten phone number. No name. "That's suspicious," he added, as if offering commentary. Martha looked at the number. For a moment, her face softened. Not fear. Recognition. "You stepped on it," she said, not accusing. "Observational. It's older than your badge." The officer bristled. The woman typed faster. Outside the room, voices rose, then fell. A radio crackled. The supervisor's tone sharpened. Something was changing tempo. Martha felt it the way sailors feel weather in their joints. A different man entered, older, hair silvered at the temples. His suit didn't belong to the building. He didn't sit. He studied her like a ledger. "Ms. Cole," he said, pronouncing it carefully. "Do you know why you're here?" "Yes," Martha replied. "Because you needed someone smaller than your problems." He blinked. "Once?" He checked his watch, then the door. "There's been a flag," he said. "A corporate one." Martha smiled then. Not wide, not kind. The room felt tighter. "That's interesting," she said. "Because I retired 3 years ago. I don't fly under flags anymore." The man's phone buzzed. He looked at the screen. Color drained from his face. He stepped back, hand covering the receiver, voice dropping. "She's here," he whispered. Martha folded her hands on the table and waited, patient as a storm that knows exactly when to arrive. The man cleared his throat and straightened his jacket, as if fabric could restore authority. He motioned for the officer to step outside. The door didn't close all the way. Martha heard fragments. "Legal. Call upstairs. Don't touch her bag again." The camera kept blinking. The woman in the blazer stopped typing. Her fingers hovered, useless. "Ms. Cole," the man said when he turned back, voice careful now. "There's been a misunderstanding." Martha tilted her head. She studied the room, the scuffed floor, the vent humming with recycled air, the faint smell of disinfectant and panic. "No," she said quietly. "There's been a demonstration supervisor pushed in, face flushed. "We need to clear this room," he snapped. "Now." "Sir," the officer protested. "Procedure." "Now," the supervisor repeated, sharper, afraid. Martha stood without being told. The chair scraped, loud. She slipped her ring back on, slow, deliberate. The woman in the blazer couldn't meet her eyes. When Martha lifted her purse, the officer flinched. She noticed. She always noticed. Outside, the terminal felt different, quieter. People pretended not to stare while staring anyway. A gate agent paused mid-sentence. The businessman in loafers avoided her gaze. The man who had spoken up earlier gave her a small nod, uncertain, like someone who realizes he has entered the wrong story. A voice echoed over the intercom, calling for a manager to report to security immediately. The name was familiar. Too familiar. Martha stopped walking. The supervisor froze beside her. Sweat beaded at his hairline. "You should sit," he said. "I'm fine," Martha replied. From the end of the corridor, two people approached fast. One in a tailored coat, one with a badge held low, respectful. Their footsteps were confident, unhurried, the kind that assumes doors open before they reach them. Martha watched them come, eyes steady, breath even. Around her, the air felt charged, like the second before glass shatters. She didn't smile this time. She didn't need to. The room already knew it had misjudged her. The woman in the tailored coat stopped 3 steps from Martha and said her name like a correction. Not loud. Certain. "Miss Cole." The badge holder didn't speak. He angled his body slightly, unconsciously shielding her from the supervisor. That was the tell. Power always reveals itself in small courtesies first. "I was told you were delayed," the woman said, eyes never leaving Martha's face. Her jaw was tight, controlled. "That won't happen again." The supervisor tried to smile. It came out wrong. "We were just following protocol," he said. His voice cracked on the last word. "Protocol doesn't include humiliation," the woman replied without looking at him. "Or detention without cause." She finally turned her head then, slow, surgical. The supervisor shrank under the gaze. Martha watched the exchange with mild interest, as if it were happening on a screen across the room. She felt none of the triumph people expect in moments like this. Only clarity. The kind that settles after a long argument ends. "Your flight has been held," the badge holder said quietly. "Boarding will resume when you're ready." Martha exhaled through her nose. "My sister doesn't like hospitals," she said. "She panics when she's alone." The woman nodded once. "A car is waiting," she said. "Direct to the gate. No announcements." A murmur rippled through the terminal. Phones disappeared. People pretended to tie shoes, check screens, look anywhere but here. The supervisor stepped back, then another step, like ground was giving way beneath him. Martha picked up her purse. She adjusted the strap on her shoulder. The weight felt familiar, earned. As they walked, she passed the officer who had waved the wand too close. He stared at the floor, breathing shallow. She paused beside him, just long enough. "Next time," she said softly. Choose decency, it costs less. Then she kept walking, the path clearing ahead of her, the building bending to accommodate a truth it should have known all along. The corridor narrowed as they moved, not physically but socially, as if the crowd had learned where not to stand. The woman in the coat spoke into an earpiece, voice low, clipped. No press. Lock the cameras on Concourse B. Yes, all of them. She listened, nodded, then added, I'll handle the report. Martha's knee protested as they picked up speed. She ignored it. Pain was an old acquaintance, useful when managed, dangerous when indulged. You didn't have to escalate, she said, not accusing, just stating fact. The woman glanced sideways. It was already escalated, she replied. You just weren't supposed to notice. They reached a service elevator, guarded by a man who straightened instantly when he saw Martha. He didn't ask for credentials. He pressed the button and stepped aside. Inside, the doors closed with a soft thud that cut off the terminal's noise like a guillotine. The badge holder finally spoke. There's been a leak, he said. Internal. Someone tagged your name to a compliance alert. Martha's eyes flicked to the ceiling, then back. Names don't leak by accident, she said. People do. The elevator hummed upward. The woman rubbed her temple, a brief crack in the armor. They're moving faster than we expected, she admitted. Board oversight, regulatory partners. Someone wants a spectacle. Spectacles require audiences, Martha said, and permission. The doors opened to a private corridor that smelled like new carpet and old money. A golf cart waited, engine idling. As they climbed in, a phone buzzed again. The woman read the message and swore under her breath. They're calling for a review, she said. Emergency session. Today. Martha looked straight ahead as the cart rolled. Good, she said. I was hoping they would. The woman studied her now. Really studied her, seeing past the grey hair, the sensible shoes. You're not afraid, she said. Martha's mouth curved, not into a smile, but into resolve. I already paid for that, she replied. This part is just accounting. The cart stopped at a glass door that slid open without a badge. Inside, the space was quiet in the way expensive places are quiet. Thick walls, muted lights, a long table with nothing on it except a speakerphone that pulsed softly. Waiting. Martha stepped in first. She always did when rooms mattered. Sit, the woman in the coat said, then corrected herself. If you want. Martha remained standing. She rested one hand on the back of a chair, grounding herself. The speaker crackled. A voice filled the room, practiced and smooth, the kind trained to sound calm while rearranging lives. This is an emergency governance review, it said. Ms. Cole, thank you for joining on such short notice. Martha leaned closer to the table, just enough. You detained me, she said. You don't get to call that joining. A pause. Papers shuffled somewhere far away. Another voice cut in, sharper. We're concerned about exposure, it said. Your presence triggered internal alerts across 3 subsidiaries. Then your system is working, Martha replied. Or someone forced it to. The woman in the coat shifted, uneasy. She had not expected this tone. No one ever does the first time. The badge holder stood near the door, eyes fixed on nothing, listening to everything. "Ms. Cole," the first voice said, impatience creeping in. "This isn't the forum for—" "It's the only forum you left," Martha interrupted. Her voice didn't rise. It didn't need to. "You ran my name through security instead of calling me. You put a uniform between you and a phone." Silence stretched. The speaker's light pulsed faster. "You think I retired?" Martha continued. "You think stepping away means stepping down." She straightened, the room tightening with her. "I didn't come here to fly. I came because you made noise where there should have been none." Another pause, longer now. When the voice returned, it was cautious. "What do you want?" Martha finally sat. The chair did not creak. "I want the truth," she said. "And then I want the board to hear it from me. All of it." The speaker crackled again, quieter now, as if volume itself had become a liability. "We can't do that," a new voice said, older, defensive. "There are legal considerations." Martha nodded once. "There always are," she said. "That's why I kept copies." The woman in the coat stiffened. "Copies of what?" Martha reached into her purse and placed a thin flash drive on the table. It looked insignificant. Cheap plastic, the kind people overlook. "Internal audits," she said. "Deferred risk memos. Email chains marked draft and never sent. The ones that start polite and end terrified." The badge holder inhaled sharply. He recognized the weight of it immediately. The room felt smaller. "You're bluffing," the older voice said. It tried to sound amused. Failed. "I don't bluff," Martha replied. "I calculate." She tapped the table once with her knuckle. The sound landed heavy. "You rerouted compliance alerts through security to intimidate a retired executive, instead of addressing a structural failure that has been bleeding people dry. You gambled that I'd stay quiet." The woman in the coat swallowed. "They moved funds," she said, before she could stop herself. "Off the books. Not illegal." "Not exactly." Martha's eyes cut to her. "Exactly is where accountability lives," she said. On the speaker, someone cursed softly, forgetting the mic was live. Another voice jumped in, urgent. "What do you want in return for that drive?" Martha leaned back, finally. The chair accepted her weight. "I want the review public," she said. "I want the names read aloud. I want the people who signed off to explain themselves without intermediaries." "That would destabilize the company," the first voice said. "Yes," Martha agreed. "That's the point." Outside the room, a plane roared past the glass, lifting into the sky. Martha watched it go, unmoved. Some things only rise after pressure breaks them open. The room answered with silence, the kind that pretends to be thinking while it panics. Martha let it breathe. She had learned long ago that pressure works best when you don't rush it. The speaker's light dimmed, then brightened, as if hands were covering and uncovering a mouth. "You don't understand the consequences," a voice said at last. It tried to sound paternal. "Markets will react. Jobs will be lost." Martha's gaze hardened. "Jobs were already lost," she said. "Pensions quietly trimmed. Clinics shuttered. Towns hollowed out while you called it optimization. She leaned forward again, slow, deliberate. You want to talk about consequences. Let's be accurate. The woman in the coat looked at Martha now with something close to awe and something closer to fear. They'll come after you, she said softly. Subpoenas, smears. They'll dig. Martha's mouth twitched. They already did, she replied. They didn't like what they found. That's why I was barefoot on cold tile. A new voice cut in, younger, brittle. If this goes public, there's no controlling the narrative. Martha nodded. Narratives are for people who can't afford facts. The badge holder's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, then at Martha. Media is circling, he said. Someone tipped them. Good, Martha said. Let the wait. On the speaker, a sigh. Defeat dressed up as prudence. We'll convene, the first voice said. Full board. Open session. Martha reached for the flash drive but didn't pick it up. I'll bring it myself, she said. And I'll answer questions. She stood, the room rising with her. One more thing. The voices quieted. You used security to silence a problem, Martha continued. That ends today. Starting with apologies. Public ones. The line went dead. The speaker's light faded. The woman in the coat exhaled, shaky. They agreed, she said. Martha adjusted her purse strap. They complied, she corrected. Agreement implies choice. The car rolled onto the tarmac without lights, escorted by vehicles that didn't look like security, but moved like it. Rain streaked the windows, thin lines racing each other downward. Martha watched them and thought of the first time she'd signed her name to something that changed 1,000 lives. She'd been younger then, louder. She'd believed volume was strength. Inside the terminal, a small room had been cleared. No banners, no podium. Just a table, microphones dark, chairs arranged with too much care. The woman in the coat hovered near the door, phone pressed to her ear, murmuring instructions that would never be written down. They're here, she said finally. Board members. Council. Martha stepped in and felt the shift. People straightened. A man with cufflinks avoided her eyes. Another nodded too quickly. The air tasted like fear polished into politeness. She took the seat at the center without asking. Someone slid a glass of water toward her. She didn't touch it. A lawyer cleared his throat. Ms. Cole, before we begin. No, Martha said. The word landed clean. We begin now. A screen lit up behind her, fed from the flash drive she had placed on the table. Numbers appeared. Dates, names, emails in plain text, stripped of excuses. Gasps traveled the room in small, shameful sounds. A woman pressed her lips together so hard they went white. This is incomplete, the lawyer said weakly. Of course it is, Martha replied. Corruption never shows itself all at once. She turned, meeting eyes, one by one. You thought I left? I stepped aside to see who would fill the space. Outside, thunder rolled, low and approving. A hand rose at the far end of the table. It trembled. What happens now? Martha stood. The room held its breath. Now, she said, you answer to the people you forgot. The first apology came out wrong, wrapped in legal language and conditional verbs. Martha let it hang there, inadequate, then moved on, without acknowledging it. She asked questions instead, short ones, names, dates, who signed, who benefited. Each answer peeled another layer, and with every layer the room seemed to shrink. People shifted. Pens stopped moving. A man excused himself and never came back. Outside, rain intensified, drumming against the glass like a countdown. Phones buzzed, were silenced, buzzed again. The woman in the coat stood rigid by the wall, eyes flicking between faces, cataloguing who would survive this and who would not. She caught Martha's gaze once and looked away. Chastened. A board member finally cracked. His voice wobbled. We were told it was temporary. Martha leaned forward, palms flat on the table. That's what everyone tells themselves, she said. Temporary harm. Temporary silence. Until it becomes policy. Her eyes softened, just a fraction. You didn't mean to be cruel. You meant to be efficient. The distinction landed like a verdict. A notification chimed on the screen. Headlines bloomed, unavoidable now. Markets reacting. Statements drafted and deleted. A public apology leaked before it was approved. Someone laughed, sharp and hysterical, then stopped when no one joined. The lawyer tried again. We can negotiate terms, he said. Contain damages. Martha straightened. You can cooperate, she replied, or you can explain yourselves under oath. She gestured to the screen. The facts won't negotiate. Silence returned. Heavier this time, weighted with acceptance. Chairs scraped as people stood, one by one, to speak into microphones that were now very much on. Martha stepped back and let them. This was the part she never rushed. Accountability needs room to breathe. The hospital room smelled like antiseptic and wilted flowers. Machines hummed in patient agreement. Martha sat beside the bed, coat folded on her lap, hands finally still. Her sister slept with her mouth slightly open, a thin line of drool at the corner, alive in a way that felt miraculous and ordinary at the same time. Martha watched the rise and fall of her chest and felt the adrenaline drain, leaving behind a quiet ache. This was the part no one filmed. A nurse entered, mid-40s, tired eyes, competent hands. She checked the IV, adjusted the pillow. You family, she said, not asking. Yes, Martha replied. The nurse nodded. She keeps asking for you, she said, then paused. They're talking about you on the news. Martha didn't look up. They'll get bored, she said. The nurse smiled, small and grateful. I hope so. She hesitated, then added, People like you don't usually come back. Martha met her gaze. I never left, she said. Later, alone, Martha stepped into the hallway and leaned against the cool wall. Her phone buzzed with messages she didn't open. Promises, threats, gratitude from people she'd never meet. She felt older than her years and lighter than she had in decades. The cost had been high. It always was. She thought of the cold tile, the wand, the eyes that never saw her until they had to. She thought of rooms bending, doors opening, voices changing pitch. Power was loud when threatened, and quiet when sure. Martha straightened and walked back into the room. She pulled a chair closer and took her sister's hand. Whatever came next, she would meet it the same way she always had. Standing, present, unmistakable. Morning arrived without ceremony. The city exhaled, news vans packed up, statements were issued, revised, walked back, issued again. Martha watched none of it. She sat by the window as light slid across the floor and turned dust into something almost holy. The quiet felt earned, not peaceful, earned. By noon, the phone stopped buzzing. People learn quickly when a door is closed for good. Martha folded the coat she had worn through corridors and boardrooms and placed it on the chair. The fabric remembered her shoulders. She did not. She had already moved on. In the hallway, staff passed with carts and clipboards, saving lives in small, relentless ways. No one stared. That mattered more than applause. Later, when her sister woke, Martha smiled and kept it simple. The truth, trimmed to fit the moment. You're safe. I'm here. The rest could wait. Accountability had its own momentum now. It would keep moving without her hand on the wheel. That was the point. Power that lasts builds systems, not spotlights. When she finally left the hospital, the sky had cleared. Planes climbed clean arcs overhead, patient and precise. Martha paused on the curb and adjusted the strap on her purse. She looked like anyone else heading home. That was the victory. To be seen as ordinary after doing what was necessary. Stories like this don't end with fireworks. They end with doors closing softly and work continuing. If this story stayed with you, tap like, subscribe for more, and comment 3 words that mattered to you.